Molt bon dia. Gràcies per acompanyar-nos en aquest acte que, com sabeu, forma part de la celebració de la Diada Pau Casals. La Diada té un origen històric, que és que el 16 de juny de 1934 la ciutat de Barcelona, en reconeixement a la increïble tasca musical de Pau Casals, però també la seva implicació social, amb el que més tard va ser l'Associació Obrera de Concerts i altres projectes, i també la seva implicació cívica en la ciutat, l'Ajuntament de Barcelona, amb les institucions del moment, la Generalitat també, van organitzar un homenatge en el que li van concedir la medalla de la ciutat, van posar el seu nom, el de Pau Casals, en una avinguda que sortia del Turó Parc, i que va Francesc Macià, i el van fer fill adoptiu de Barcelona, ja que, com sabeu, és un vendrellenc il·lustre. Doncs bé, amb la col·laboració que tenim amb el Palau de la Música, organitzem aquest concert magnífic que tindrem avui a les 8 del vespre i des de ja fa uns anys aquesta conversa amb els artistes músics convidats que després podrem tenir el goig d'escoltar-los en el concert. En primer lloc, voldria agrair moltíssim per descomptat la presència de Daniel Müller-Schott i de l'Annette Treutler, que han vingut canviant el programa perquè hi ha hagut una qüestió de força major i que han permès que puguem continuar endavant amb la celebració de la Diada Pau Casals. L'Annette, que és una pianista fantàstica, especialitzada en música de cambra, que ha col·laborat i es coneixen molt bé amb el Daniel Müller-Schott, i tindrem el gust també de comptar amb l'Erika Weiss, que també és cel·lista, és nord-americana, però fa 20 anys que viu a Barcelona, per tant, és d'aquí, i que, a més, és una peça clau, una col·laboradora imprescindible d'aquest projecte que en el Festival Pau Casals estem posant en marxa, que és diguem-ne, seguint la inspiració i els valors de Casals quan ell participava a Marlboro, a l'estat de Vermont, als Estats Units, permetem la trobada, la convivència, no només per interpretar o per rebre masterclasses, de joves músics de tot el món amb professionals reconeguts com els que encapçalen aquesta iniciativa i especialment el Jonathan Brown i la Erika Weiss. Voldria agrair per descomptat el Bernat Mellat, que és el nostre director artístic, el nostre assessor musical de la Fundació Pau Casals, i també, i molt especialment també, el Peter Tiemann, que ens acompanya i que té a veure amb una peça més de la celebració de la Diada Pau Casals. Breument, recordar que el dissabte, dia 15, a l'Auditori Eduard Toldrà del Conservatori Municipal de Música de Barcelona, tindrem, una vegada més, un acte musical amb la participació, per una banda, de l'Orquestra de Corda del Conservatori Municipal de Música de Barcelona, després amb l'Orquestra Xavier Montsalvatge, dirigida per l'Hilberto Fonseca, l'Orquestra del Conservatori està dirigida per el David Olmedo, i després també tindrem la interpretació de l'Orquestra Voces, dirigida pel Pablo González, i el ple, sempre importantíssim, de comptar amb la interpretació de 30 xelistes coordinats per el Peter Tiemann i dirigits pel mestre Antoni Ros Marvà. Aquest acte, que es farà a les 12, i esteu tots convidats, es farà també la presentació per streaming, com aquesta conversa que tindrem avui, que serà seguida, esperem per molta gent, per streaming, i serà enregistrada i estarà també a la vostra disposició. Res més, comencem la conversa. Gràcies per acompanyar-nos i moltes gràcies a vosaltres. Thank you very much for coming and for giving this opportunity to connect young generations with your experience and your vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordi. Much to my pleasure, we can do this in English.
My pleasure. I will speak some words.
I will try to speak slowly.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Daniel Müller-Schott and Annika Treutler. If any of you were expecting one more musician and perhaps two different musicians, there was a change in programming, which was you found out about when?
The day before yesterday.
The day before yesterday.
Yes,
so we'll talk a little bit about that, just because it's the reality of being a concert musician.
Yes.
So originally you had scheduled a piano trio concert.
Yes, exactly. That
With-
was our original plan with Renaud Capuçon and Francesco Piemontesi. But then, unfortunately, something really unexpected happened because Francesco had a bike accident the day before yesterday. So he fell off his bike. So it was quite dramatic. But to make the long story short, he's fine, but he can't play. So we
So
had to change the program.
He's taking a forced vacation.
Yes. exactly.
But I know that you, at least with him, with Francesco, you have quite a long relationship of collaboration with him.
Yes.
You were originally going to play a Brahms trio, Mendelssohn trio,
Yes.
and Ravel
Yeah,
trio.
well, yes, that was.
But today, still Brahms.
yes.
Today you'll play
Exactly.
Brahms'
A
second
different
sonata?
key.
A different key. You're not going to transcribe it to.
No, exactly.
So,
Very
Brahms.
much, yes, and very much to a Casals program because this was the original idea, the repertoire that the great Pablo Casals played, and these works that we play for everyone tonight are really signature repertoire pieces by Pablo Casals. The first Bach suite that he rediscovered, the whole Bible of the solo cello, and then we follow with the Beethoven A major sonata. And then Schumann Fantasiestücke and Brahms F major sonata. So it's a big, wonderful Casals and Brahms as well program.
Yes, let's, for a moment, maybe we just focus on the Brahms element of that, because I know you recorded the Brahms sonatas with Francesco, and we have a little treat for our listeners here. Also, I should mention that I just am so happy to see some young cellists out in the audience,
Oh,
eager,
yeah, the cellist.
raise your hand if you're a young cellist or old cellist.
Yes.
Peter,
Hey, bravo.
older cellist.
Yes, the young. Still young.
So they're all eager to hear all of your ideas and advice. But maybe we'll show a video of the making of the Brahms.
Hello everyone, we are just finishing, or we can say we finished our recording project.
To keep the same level of energy as if it were in a concert, it's sometimes difficult. So
Challenging.
it's challenging. So we can now feel it in the shoulders and the body that is
Very much.
really, really
Very much
tiring.
so. We are looking forward to playing that many more times in the future, and you can enjoy it on our recording, hopefully, and maybe we see all of you in some concert of ours.
Yes, heard tonight.
Yes,
Hopefully.
exactly. Hopefully.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. That was F major sonata, which you'll also play. You'll both play tonight. And I know you've also recorded those sonatas.
Yes, exactly. I did a recording with the cellist Julia Hagen, a very young cellist. I think it's almost 7 years ago that we recorded it. And I think one of our first collaboration was also Brahms sonatas. So this is
Yeah, it's
our
really such a
connection.
key of the cello repertoire, as you know. I mean, being a cellist, you're drawn into the music by Brahms, especially also the chamber music that he wrote. And this sonata was written during a very productive time, actually, when he was in Thun in Switzerland. He always spent his summers at this beautiful lake. The nature, actually, I played there last year just to see how beautiful it is. It's stunning, really stunning. And he was so inspired by this landscape and the mountains and the lake, and that actually gave him such inspiration. And he was so productive that summer in 1886. He wrote the cello sonata and violin sonata and some of his other chamber works, and this was followed by even the Brahms double concerto. And so very productive time, and very challenging because it was actually dedicated to a very, probably the most popular cellist of the time, Robert Hausmann, who was playing in the Joachim Quartet, and of course Joseph Joachim was a close friend to Johannes Brahms. And actually Robert Hausmann, this cellist, was begging Brahms to write a cello concerto. And so Brahms was sort of saying, okay, I make up instead to write him a sonata. And this turned out to be the F major sonata, which is an incredibly virtuosic piece. It's very hard to play, actually, for both. For the piano and the cello. And so it's in a way, it's a four-piece sonata, and it's a four-movement sonata, and it's very orchestral in a way, very, very symphonic. So this is a wonderful piece to end a concert and end the program.
And actually, since we've watched this video, just briefly, what is the having recorded it? How does that change how you come on stage with it, or does it change how you come on stage?
Yes, it always does. Of course, now we know each other for many years. We play together. We also recorded this work, not for CD, but on the radio. So it always evolves, I would say. And of course, it depends with whom you play and in what stage of your life you are. And these masterpieces, they give you constant inspiration. You always discover something. So this is what we do when we rehearse, which we just will continue after this talk to discuss some.
I know.
So discuss some ideas. I mean, everyone has experienced something new and has new ideas, and so we exchange that kind of ideas. We were just talking about this movement, which we just heard, actually, about the tempo, how to give, because the third movement is so orchestral, it's so dramatic, and then it's like this, it's like a child's song. It's something that Brahms must have heard maybe on the street somewhere, and he just puts it into that incredibly beautiful form. But he writes allegro molto, so we were just talking about this. So what is the right tempo for this? It's not allegro, it's allegro molto, so it has to even more flow. And so these details.
And especially, if I may add, fourth movements by Brahms, they always give a little question mark to the performers, because especially if the third movement is that orchestral and dramatic, then we have this grazioso color suddenly in the fourth movement. Is it a calm movement, or is it still like in a lively, vibrant way? And so this allegro molto with the alla breve, so there are many ways to discuss it. And especially because of your question, it's, I think, a beautiful process if you learn a piece very early in your life, and then you build a relationship throughout your hopefully our whole lifetime. And a recording process helps to build up an even deeper connection to the piece. And then you play it with different artists. So I've probably played it with 5 different cellists. And this gives always new perspectives. And it's the most inspiring way of music making, and always discovering something new. And then also the interpretation. It's never in a box and will come up like that, but it's always different, and then in a live experience. So in rehearsal with Daniel, for example, we play different than on stage. So it's always something new.
Yes, this is great. I want to get into this a bit. This was not part of my plan, but let's get into this a little bit, especially because actually for people that love to come to concerts and love to listen to recordings, but also for people that are studying music that might come to a class and say, so what tempo is this? What tempo should I play this at? What kind of musical questions do you ask yourselves to find the interpretation for in a rehearsal or on stage? What are some of your musical goals? Because I insist on some in my own teaching, but I want to ask, so when you rehearse this afternoon, what are you looking for in terms of preparing for tonight?
I think I would say I'm always going for the right balance, but also, stretching the boundaries, so to speak. You have to be, in a way, the most expressive that you can be, but within a certain form. You can't, and this is also in romantic music and classical music. I think I'm thinking of a quote. Actually, Roger Norrington has said this I think, very convincingly that in classical music, for example, it's like playing a tennis match. You do everything you can to hit the ball, and but the moment, this millimeter, the ball goes out, you lose the point. And this is a bit in music as well. You have to, within that frame of a certain period of time, so to speak, historically also, you have to get to know the most that you can, background-wise, and then also go deeper into the handwriting of the composer, the score. You study this, you read about it. There are even interviews, for example, with Johannes Brahms, so you can really get very close to the person, Johannes Brahms. You can always, throughout that frame of time, you can even meet this person, even if he's not alive anymore. But of course, certainly we meet him every time we play his music. This is something super alive. And of course, this deepens throughout the year. But I would say that to find this kind of balance between the stretch of expression and form is the goal that I'm striving towards.
Yeah, and maybe I can add that for me it's very important to dive really deep into the text, so respecting the text but make it your own. And this is totally I agree very much with Daniel, and this is the only maybe thing I would add. And also talking about Brahms, it's incredible. We are very used to play Brahms very strictly in tempo. We cannot change tempos
German
within
music.
Yeah, but I think it's very much a misunderstanding. And if you find the freedom in the right places, you cannot be free all the time. But if you really get to know a piece and going with the harmonies, Brahms' orchestral writing, especially in the F major sonata, is so clear still, even if it's so rich. And also we have a pianist who was having lessons with Brahms, Ilona Albenschütz, and their recordings by her on YouTube. If you listen to that, it's incredible how free she plays. And we're so stuck in, if we study, like for example, I'm also teaching a lot of time, and so if the students come and also talking to colleagues, it needs to be in a certain way they have to play. But I think it's more about finding a balance again between the text and being authentic as possible on your own and bringing your own life into the music. So it's sometimes not this is the right tempo, but it's more about how can I express what I want in a form, in a certain frame. So, and then if we can move as flexible as possible in the frame, that's, I guess, the balance we're looking for.
There's an inner freedom,
yes,
music making.
Exactly.
And this is something that I find also extremely important for us classical musicians, because we are so, take so much time to only learn the text, right? To play the notes in the right place correctly, but then, yes, more or less. But not like in other genres where you have this kind of freedom in jazz music where you can improvise and do these things. But at the time, this has been always a tradition of musicians to be having that freedom.
Composing and
composing,
and playing.
also improvising. And the virtuosos at the time of Brahms, they all wrote their own pieces, like Joachim. He wrote a big violin concerto, and I'm sure there were many other pianists and contemporaries at the time. So this kind of freedom that I think is important, that we are not really, stuck in a certain jacket that limits us. So I think that's very important, that there's, everything has its inner freedom.
Maybe you could speak just a little bit more about how that might shift or not, playing with more people. In the setting of a duo, it's going to be a trio, and then whatever it might be with, I know last time you played in Palau was with the Beit Zimmerman and Jörg Widmann with clarinet and viola, or if you're here with pianists, or you were going to be here with piano trio. And also, obviously, just to say, you've only known you were playing today, 48 hours ago at the most. But the rehearsal today is not about you could play for us right now this concert and we would all adore it. So this afternoon's rehearsal of working together, that collaborative part, what are some of the things that you look for in collaboration this afternoon that you couldn't do at home before you got on the plane?
It's everything.
I would say it's also connecting on an energy level that you play and you feel his ideas. Where is he standing? Where
Yeah.
where does he want to go? And it's basically a process of discovering. And we don't really discuss and say this is the way we want to play. It's just more an exchange of energies, of ideas while playing. Then we maybe discuss, like today, the tempo again, different ideas, and then we come together on stage and we build a trust. I think it's more or less because also we know each other very well. It helps to make music and to trust while playing,
Yes.
and to because we haven't seen each other. We found out
A year. Yeah, we played a year ago.
It felt like
in Germany.
maybe 2 months, but
Yes.
suddenly it's a year, and then just playing and getting
Yeah.
to know each other again
Yes.
on that level is very important.
I know that you'll play again together. I think I know that you'll play the Brahms sonatas again together later on this month, or no?
Oh yeah, we do in 2 weeks.
Yes, in like 2 weeks. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And you and you were supposed to play 2 years ago together also in El Vendrell, but there was also a change.
Yeah, I
Unfortunately,
got
you
the
couldn't.
COVID for the
Yeah.
first time just
Just
before.
wanted to mention if anyone's going to book a concert with Daniel that this
Oh, yeah,
is the 2nd
I'm
time
bad
now
luck.
someone's
I'm
had
really
to
bad luck.
cancel. so it might be
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about Casals specifically, since this is a celebration of
Absolutely,
him as a musician, as a human being. I know
Yeah.
that you have been greatly affected
Yes.
by him.
Yes.
You have your cello here next to you. that
Yes,
also-
which is the same from the same maker as Pablo Casals, because he was so reliable and truthful to his cello. It was really his partner throughout life, and it was a Matteo Goffriller cello made in Italy, in Venice. His cello was made in 1723. My cello is made 4 years later, 1727. And yeah, I mean, speaking or thinking about Casals, it's of course this incredible musician and giant of his time, as fighting for human rights on a global scope, and then also discovering the most wonderful pieces at his time, like the Bach suites,
Yes.
bringing them back to life, to the concert hall, and I'm just honored that I can be here. I can celebrate him. Of course, I'm almost a grandson of him, because my teacher studied with Pablo Casals. He went to all his classes always, and so I heard as a child, even I heard already about Casals, and then I wrote this book, and then I found out that we are just, might be a little detail, but we are exactly 100 years apart. He was born in 1876, I'm born in 1976.
Okay.
So I felt, there's already a connection. so on many levels, I'm just envying him, and it's so fantastic to study what he did.
Maybe we take a moment to listen to a video of him playing in a piano trio,
Wonderful.
and then we can discuss it. Then.
De l'antichambre, ils écoutent répéter ce trio prestigieux formé de Casals, de Katchen et de Istrak.
Isn't that amazing? Wow. And we were just speaking about Casals at the time was 90 years old, is that right? Exactly. Unbelievable. Yeah, that fire and the excitement and just about all the details in the Schubert trio. And it's one of the hardest pieces, and he plays it like a child, like it's child's play.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's really, yeah,
So
it's amazing. I love also all the people clamoring to listen and watch them from the outside. It's really fantastic. I would love to ask you both about some of the current projects that you're doing. I know you mentioned the Bach suites a couple times, and I think you've done a project combining Bach suites with dance or movement or something like this. And I know also that you have some interest in combining a crossover in terms of literature and art. And would you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, one part of my fascinations was always to bring different art forms together, and I'm now directing a festival in Switzerland at the Lake Geneva in Vevey, and there I have that kind of artistic freedom that I can invite my musical friends, but also other artistic friends like painters, like writers, and we can do some things together. Also with the dance company in Lausanne, we did one project. I played Bach suites, and they were doing a choreography. Yes. And
Choreography.
yes. So because the Bach is so much about this kind of stylistic Baroque dances, and just to cross some borders, and but of course my main thing throughout the year is that I play concerts with orchestra, but also playing Bach suites. I now play them in China, and I played in South Korea and in Taiwan. So I'm going to Asia also, and I feel that our European culture is so much appreciated there, and there's so many young people who love classical music, and I feel that there's really a new beginning there happening, which is wonderful. And we would wish actually in our countries also for a younger generation to be inspired even by in Asia. It's like this music as a subject in school is very common. Everyone learns an instrument, and I feel where I come from in Germany, it's actually much more
less common. I thought
less common and limited. Yes, and so we have to somehow be active and reach out and inspire a lot of people to join us and to experience, not only in concert halls but just at home. To learn an instrument is such it's so important to build your own character. I mean, any instrument helps with that. So I find that very important, just to give also something and invite younger people to experience music.
And Annika, I know you also do things that are not only playing in the concert hall and recording scenes. Yeah, could you tell us?
Well, that's I'm engaging very much in a project which I built, which is called Respond in Music, which is dedicated to forbidden composers from the Second World War mostly. Now we're building a new project where Mendelssohn is in the center to show how it is to live in with two cultural identities, and Mendelssohn is a perfect and very known and popular example for that. And I think as musicians, especially nowadays, we need to be active, and I really like to show not only emotional stories through music, but like history and important values for society, so we can all live in a free, democratic world. And as the world is shifting more and more, I think there's a lot where we can actually go out and reach out to people and hopefully change the world a little bit with music. We cannot change the whole world, but we can start in the small surroundings.
Yeah.
So, for example, I also did a tour in Germany, 2 weeks in schools with a quartet, and we were talking to them, and what we discovered and experienced, different than in concert halls. Also for us artists, there were no borders. We could talk to them. We could really reach them with the music. We had a dialogue. We had young students who actually shared tears with us and personal stories. And this was through music. So I think it's very much nowadays in the awareness, or should be, of musicians, that we really have the Aufgabe,
the task. Or,
a task,
no,
yeah,
the
but it's
work,
with an
yeah.
inner intention to reach out and see our role as musicians also, that we cannot be apolitical nowadays.
Also, just as a humanitarian, is so attached to Casals, also as a role model from, from the very beginning. And I think also, speaking to young musicians who are studying and practicing as well, they should be very hard and working to get better, which is such a big part of what we do. But just also remembering that when we first started, we didn't necessarily fall in love with music because we love to practice.
No. That's, yeah.
No,
obvious,
we fell in love with music because it spoke to us as a human being.
exactly.
It's something we wanted to share, and the importance of
Absolutely.
coming back to
That should
that.
be that, should draw you in each time, that, and you should remember it. What is it for? And music is for sharing, definitely. It's not just to sit in your own practice room and be isolated. No, it's quite the opposite. You have to share. You have to be in dialogue, and you have to communicate. And this is what is so great about music, that it can really do that, no matter where we come from. So that's really fantastic.
I think I'm going to take a moment earlier than I thought to open up to ask if anyone has questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm very sorry about bicycle accident.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh yeah. That's nice. Listo, yeah, that's a wonderful colleague that I played with. But Annika is from Germany.
I was just
So
asking, misunderstanding maybe.
But we have wonderful colleagues in Finland as well. Yes. Yeah.
Ask, and maybe you are not the people to answer this. It turns out you are not from Finland. Now, I can tell you that New York is doing everything it can to kill classical music. It's too expensive. You know, I can, as a New Yorker, I can only come see classical music overseas. The BBC proms are going to cost me 32 euros for each weekend standing. When people, I'm 63, and a classical music audience is still the only place where I can feel like a young person. What could we be doing? It's not just about individual enthusiasm among musicians. There are systemic barriers and systemic open gates to bringing a younger audience to classical music. Can you talk a little bit about what more Spain and Germany and the others could be doing to encourage younger people in the audience and as musicians?
Well, for me, it's the key is actually that this kind of conservative traditions, so to say, are opened up. And I think this is what we see over the last maybe 10, 20 years, that there are so many festivals starting in so many different places, and they have surroundings that are the most comfortable for young people. And I think that makes concerts and classical concerts and music in general be more accessible and more, it's more felt together, so to speak. There's no this kind of block in between, and I love that. I love to go to places. For example, in Denmark, I played Shostakovich concerto at a rock festival in Roskilde in front of a rock audience, and they loved it. And I was surprised. I thought they will throw beer cans on me, but no, they were actually, because classical music has that incredibly intense element and this rhythm and everything, but also that kind of inner beauty. Like we are now talking about repertoire like the Schumann Fantasiestücke. We were talking about this today. Even Schumann himself felt that the pieces that he composed, they are not even for the salon, and you would imagine salon, that's what we have here. No, that would be really for the inner, most intimate circle of friends listening to music. And this is what we have to create. We have to draw the listeners in our world, in this incredibly beautiful and sensitive environment. And this is what I think we can actually, we can express to younger people, that this kind of, there's a sensitiveness. If you experience it, you will also feel yourself in a different way. And if we have different surroundings for this that are less conservative, I think it can be very helpful. And I think it's really, in Europe at least, I feel that it's really starting.
Yeah, I think it's also, like, talking very practically, important to open up a traditional concert format. I think especially the classical music world is having this little bubble around itself, and it's very important to open these doors. For example, practically speaking, in Berlin, they invented these concerts. They call themselves casual concerts. So it's free seating, young people after the concert. So the orchestra is playing in casual clothes. And after the concert, there's a DJ in the foyer in the Philharmonie in Berlin. The Berliner Philharmoniker, they also do late night concerts where you recently played, and suddenly there's a younger audience. So they are interested. We just need to invite them very openly. And I think to go back, whenever I meet young people, or let's say people my age, they don't come to a usual concert of mine, but whenever they have a chance, and they experience it, like Daniel said, they love it. So there's just this gap we need to overcome, and also to, I think, wake them up, or like at least show them actively that classical music is interesting, and it is something very deeply emotionally moving. We need to go also back. So if we see kids in school, so we actively go to them. Also, back in the times, it was more tradition to sing in families, for example, to start very early in age. This is not the case anymore, so they're not naturally in touch with music. So we need to bring it back and bring this awareness of the importance of music, and so what it means to sing together, for example.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful connection.
Because we are all instruments, you know, singing. That's us. Our voice is already an instrument. And the first rhythm that we hear is the heartbeat of our mothers, right? When we are in the belly, we hear that beat, and that beat is continuously, now our heart is beating. So we feel that. So we are music, we are an instrument. And if you think about this, if you reflect about it, wow, this is really opening up a totally new dimension. And yeah, we have to somehow get the awareness of younger people, that they experience it. I think also of orchestras who invite young kids to sit next to the musicians, that you feel that kind of that wash of sound. It's overwhelming. It's really incredible. And playing the cello is also, you have this body, this wooden body, and it's moving so much. It's such a great experience. Even just, by playing one open string, I feel already lifted up in my mood. So.
They had those concerts in between. They had the concerts where
For the stream.
sat among the musicians.
Yeah.
I saw a great klezmer performance at 10 o'clock at night. Also lowering ticket prices. I know New York is exceedingly expensive, and the concerts are not taking place late at night, and they're just unaffordable for anybody in the upper class.
Hopefully they are inspired by other venues in Berlin. Yes.
By the government, and that it brings ticket prices down. So long as New York insists on a ticket pricing scheme where the cheapest tickets are $80, there's not going to be any ticket.
Yeah, we can hear you. The people can't.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Are there any other
absolutely.
questions also from younger cellists that might want to ask? Si vols perguntar en català, també puc traduir. Ningú? I'll ask both of you, actually, what are some of the, if you had to, well, the influences of your teachers on you as musicians, performers, people,
Yes.
teachers?
Oh, it's
We don't have that much time, so you can't
Yeah,
go on forever.
okay,
But
so-
you know, some of the no, either, yeah. Or
yeah. You start
Okay.
your influences. It's a long story, no?
It's a whole life. I mean, I was lucky. I always had very supportive teachers who inspired me a lot. And I would say the most inspiring time, which built a foundation of everything I do nowadays, is a teacher I had from 10 years old to 16 years old, an old grande dame of the piano. And she had never taught kids in my age, but she said, this one I want to try. And I spent every week a whole afternoon with her, sometimes playing, sometimes just speaking about music. She told me stories about the composers, to always find a creative way to get to know them. Also, speaking about technique, it was always on the piece. It was always an inspiring and playful way to discover music. And in this age, it can easily be different or difficult to contain your path. And I would say that also now, as I'm teaching since several years now, this is the most important, that you inspire your students and never bring them down, which happens sometimes, especially in the Eastern School, but always uplift them, and also in this way of constant support, and also this trust I got from teachers, from my family in the end, also fellow musicians. I think this is the foundation of everything I can do nowadays. If there would have been no one, I would definitely not be here. So maybe this is
the support system.
a tried easy answer to a big topic.
Yeah. No, in my case also, I can only add that, I was lucky enough to have teachers who love music as well, and just.
Who were some of the most?
I was
mentors for you?
mentioning Walter Notas, who's my Munich teacher. He was the former cellist of the Bayerische Rundfunk Orchestra, and he was studying with Casals in the summer, and he was in Paris with André Navarra, who was a wonderful cellist of the French school. So I was many years with him. So that was my basis, the fundament for like 8 years. I was having lessons with him, and so he was extremely helpful and supportive, and almost like a father figure at the time. And then I went to London to study with Stephen Isserlis. I was a younger cellist and a wonderful inspiration, and he loves also writing about composers, about music, and he's such a wonderful friend now. And then I also went to have classes with Rostropowitsch for a year, so I was following him for a year. So I even could actually study, the Russian repertoire, like Prokofiev and Shostakovich, all the pieces that were written for Rostropowitsch, directly with him. So that was the first time when I felt, wow, this is really still alive, because he was studying with Prokofiev and telling the stories, and so I felt, wow, I'm close to this process of composing. So that was also opening up new doors for me, and so I was lucky to have those.
I know you both want to go rehearse, but if I could just ask one last thing related to this. You both have mentioned, well, you've definitely mentioned teaching, and I know that you teach. How has that affected you as a player? I always think that if my students knew how much I've learned from them, they would think I should be paying them instead of the other way around. And I just wonder what your experience has been as you've taught over the years, and how has it made you reflect on your teachers, or in just part of that circle, that beautiful circle of being a musician. And
I must say, I always worship, anyone who's a committed teacher. We had talked about this. It's really unbelievable. I find the responsibility you have as a teacher is just huge, I would say. And so far, because I'm playing many concerts, I only have the time to do master classes. But even in the master class, it's already, you can see so many things and learn, as you say, so many things. Also what not to do. What to do and what not to do. And so in many cases, this is an exchange and an ongoing inspiration. And I love doing it from time to time. Annika, you're more on a regular basis, which is fantastic.
But it's an incredible process. When I started, I didn't even feel this responsibility. But since I'm doing it for like 5 years in a Hochschule Hans Eisler in Berlin now, you start feeling this responsibility. But I'm very passionate about teaching to help younger students on an equal level in the human way of being together, but with a bit more experience to lead them away to find their own voice in music making, but also getting deeper into the text, helping them technically. And it's an incredible experience also to discover new repertoire, for example. Also for me as a pianist, we have a huge repertoire. I can never ever discover everything, but I dive deep into the repertoire, so I constantly think about music. So I think as a performing artist, it really develops my own abilities there. Then also to discover how sometimes technically difficult piano playing can be, which I, for example, never experienced because I never had huge problems, luckily. But then you reflect yourself. How do I actually do it? And some things you do intuitively, you overthink, and then they come they're very present. And so it's, as you say, we learn as teachers a lot from the students. But probably also we become better teachers in the future.
I hope so. I'm hoping. Absolutely. No, but I think just also to bring back in the idea with Casals, his passion for sharing music with the younger generation, and insisting that they feel that passion with him. So. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
What is the first thing that you do when you have to learn a new piece and you have to be very effective in short time? Because as a student, sometimes we don't have the keys or every elements to be very effective, and we lose time first listening to some interpretation or finding our own or fingerings, and sometimes you have 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and it's very hard to. So what is the first thing you do when you have a new piece?
Well, I always I would recommend to read the score. And to, like a book, like you open a book and you want to overview the story of what the composer in that case wrote. And then the next step would be, I always take the cello part, I do some fingerings, bowings, just an overview, so that the picture, you're looking from far and the picture gets more clear with the time. So if you have like 2 weeks, then every day you should somehow step by step have a clearer picture of the piece of music. And then I would, as a second step, I would go to the instrument maybe after a few days. And then slow practice is something that I always recommend, because the slower you practice, the quicker it actually relates in your head.
Can you say that again?
So the slower you practice and the more aware you are when you do it, the more freedom you have in the end, and the quicker you can actually play. It's like a paradox, but because you are tense, you want to learn it quickly, so you have to do it fast. It's quite the opposite. You have to do it with the same intention, with the same expression, but slow. So it's a trick in a way. And we are, as musicians, we have to know those tricks and how to overcome things. And this is what I would say.
And maybe just to add one thing,
Yes,
as a
please.
pianist, it might be different if you have to learn it by heart. It's very important to do it very quickly and efficiently. And also it helps to analyze the piece structure-wise, like maybe bar groups, it's very technically speaking. But then to really get to know the text and to learn it by heart. And the slow practice is very important for the muscles as well. So for the technical movement, to learn it in a very relaxed way. And then also, before you go on stage with the piece, on short notice, practice it over tempo. So you start very slow, but then also go beyond what you have to do, and then you suddenly feel comfortable where you actually have to be in the end. Yeah.
Great. Anything else? Yeah.
Well, having had this unfortunate accident, which I hope he recovers soon, I was just wondering, how do you manage that with having had such a short time of reaction, and you have to rearrange the whole program? How do you manage that? I think it must be very stressful. So
That's why we're looking at the watch. Exactly. We have how many hours?
2 minutes.
Do we have? Exactly. Yeah. So we use every moment, especially today.
Yeah.
So to prepare and to be ready. And fortunately, we know each other for some years. So and we know the repertoire, and so hopefully we will create something. Worthwhile tonight. Absolutely.
But one thing I would say is that is the preparation of years of preparation of
Exactly.
advance.
Exactly.
It
It's
really
all in our.
it all stays.
It's like a part of yourself even, because you experienced so many times, and a concert is always a special time that you remember so well, and each concert somehow links something else, you together with the composer and the piece, and of course that's something that you can rely on, and that's important. Yeah.
I think with that, I'm going to allow you, please.
Thank you.
Thank you
Pleasure.
both. no, not to please go back.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bravo.
And I would imagine everyone here will be here tonight. We are very much looking forward to the concert. So grateful that you're here with us. So
Thank you so
have
much.
a lovely afternoon.
A pleasure.
Thank
you.
you very much.
See you later.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, it's such a blow. No, it's
Thank
lovely.
you.
Yeah, it's
Very nice.
great. I'm so looking forward to the
Thanks.
concert.
Bye.